In this GYDA Talks, Robert talks to Lee Goff. Lee is an entrepreneur who grew up in Mississippi. He started his first agency, Getuwired, in 2003 in his upstairs bedroom with absolutely nothing, and grew it into a multi-million-dollar agency. He retired from the agency in early 2014, now focusing all of his energy on creating and implementing guaranteed ways to make starting, scaling, running, and potentially selling a successful agency easier and dramatically faster, more enjoyable, while still being profitable. Lee has developed a way of working that gives entrepreneurs the business life they deserve. Work smarter by working less. Give yourself the time to take care of yourself and your family, therefore allowing a high quality of life. Robert and Lee discuss being there and done it, the secrets of success. Is niche the clever thing to do? Will it ever return to normal? And a third digital revolution, plus much more.
And welcome to the GYDA Talks. And today I am absolutely delighted to have with me Lee Goff. Now, Lee is one of those people who's been there, done it, got the t-shirt, amazing guy, amazing character. Absolutely delighted to have him on the show. So, big welcome to you, Lee. Hello, and how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on, Robert.
It's an absolute pleasure. And a lot of the people here are from Europe, so just tell us exactly where you're from. Give us a geographical slot so we can understand exactly where you are.
Okay, I'm located just north of Atlanta, Georgia. That's in the southeast part of the United States. A lot of people know where Florida is. We're the state right above Florida. So.
Brilliant, love it, love it. And so Lee, some people won't know who you are. I mean, most people will because there's a kind of a crew of us who help agencies. But for those who don't know you, what are you known for, and what's the backstory?
The thing I'm most known for is being a dad. My formal name is Abby's daddy. Okay, so I'm my daughter's dad. That's my formal name. I built a. Most would say that the world's largest Infusionsoft certified partner agency. So we sold more apps and implemented more of that CRM on the planet than any other agency out there. Exited that business successfully in 2016, and then have dedicated my life to helping other agencies do what I did at Getuwired, but making it hopefully a lot easier. So I'm known for building a big agency, selling it, and now giving back to the community.
Love it, love it. So let's just go straight in because there's a whole bunch of questions that you and I are asked all the time. And this is a bit of a privilege for our listeners to have you here, so we can actually pick your brain and just really get to understand your view and kind of what the gap is between where agency owners are and what they need to know. And I guess the first most obvious question is, do you think there are secrets of success?
I don't think they're much of a secret anymore. I think there are, I think that there are laws. In other words, there are things that successful people do. I'm not sure if they're a secret anymore, though. I think part of the problem is there's so much information out there telling you all these secrets to success that people get inundated with all this information. They're getting sporadic information. They'll read one book, take one idea, another book, another one. And I actually didn't do that. I would find one book and I would just, I would read that book over the course of like 6 months or 9 months. Not that it took me that long to read it, but I was just cherry picking the 3 or 4 things I wanted to implement. Because guys like me and guys like Robert and other people who write these books, we don't write them for you to say that you read it and it's on the shelf. It's like a trophy. I didn't anyway. I wrote it so you can. I hope there's one line or one word or one chapter that can, when you go implement it, it changes your life. That's why I wrote my book. And so I think having a long-term goal and just being relentless towards that goal, pulling back on shiny objects and squirrel scenarios, and just remain focused to that purpose and always serving a higher purpose. So, there are definitely laws to success.
So what is it? I mean, what is when you come across? We'll start off with the uh, the new biz, the new biz. You're in like year one, year two. What's kind of advice you hear yourself saying again and again? God, if I have to say this one more time, I'll go bonkers. I mean, what are the kind of the lines that you're finding you're trying to communicate?
The number one thing is they're trying to be everything to everyone. Okay, so you can't do it. I know you want to keep your target audience big, and I really can. Let me rephrase that. You, as an individual, can serve anyone, but you better know going into it, it's going to become a kind of a hobby business or a quality of life business, because you're not going to be able to scale that way. You're not going to be able to bring in people off the side of the street and do that very efficiently. So make sure you focus your message and focus your target audience and focus your ship, and meaning pick a niche. A lot of people are terrified to pick a niche. They think it's going to limit their opportunities or limit their ability to grow, and it's exactly opposite of that. So it was a mistake I made, and if there is one thing that I could just recommend to everybody out there is pick a niche, hyper-focus that niche, and then get a product line that solves the pain points of that niche. Everything else becomes easier if you can do those. If you get those two things done, your life becomes easier, literally in business terms overnight, if you get those in place. And I think, Robert, you've been doing this for a long time. And if you have a centralized, underwater basket weavers in California, hypothetical, or super focused niche, there might only be 200 of them. That's fine. That's maybe a little bit more than that, a couple thousand of them. You can build a huge business. You can build a multi-million dollar agency with a target audience of 2,500 or less.
So we're talking January 2021. We've still got COVID around. We've still got problems. And I have quoted kind of almost religiously, having quoted niche, we say niche. Having said niche, we say niche.
It's actually, I was researching my book. I found out the difference. The difference is the Europeans say niche, we say niche.
But we say tomato.
Yeah, there is no difference. They're the same thing. It's just how we pronounce it over here and how you pronounce it over there. So I wondered that, and I wondered it anyway. But I had to figure it out.
So people have heard me recount the story of an agency that I knew. I mean, I've always, like you said, you need to focus, you need to be an expert. You can't be all things to all people. Take a category of a category, take a category of a category. Really hone down so that you're in a marketplace of one, ideally.
Yeah.
We had a client who specialised in wedding venue. Mm-hmm. When COVID came, within 3 days they lost 95% of their business.
Yeah.
So yes, niche. Yes, I guess the thing is just to have that awareness. I mean, no one could have known that COVID was coming. No one would have known what was going to happen.
There are certain, and I use this term all the time in my coaching, there are certain acts of God, and if you've ever had like a key man insurance or any kind of E&O insurance, I promise you, in all of them, there is what's called an act of God clause. Yeah. Well, that's what we're dealing with right now. I mean, this is the worst global pandemic in over 100 years. It's our generation's, for lack of a better term, like our World War II moment, kind of, we really need to step up and kind of and just be there for our communities and our families and things like that. And it's been great to see us all do that. But I'm worried about people making long-term business plans during a situation like this. I understand the requirement to diversify. One of my students focused on the restaurant niche heavily, 100%. And as you can imagine, the same kind of situation. It was about 9% overnight. And so what he did is he pivoted. It was brilliant. I mean, he pivoted and became a coach on how to get them up and running to do deliveries, right? So, because none of them had a delivery menu, they didn't have the QR code to scan it. They didn't have any of that stuff. They didn't know what the hell a QR code was, So he literally pivoted, and it saved his business, and something magical happened. A couple of his potential referral partners that we had been attempting to negotiate with and just couldn't get a lot of traction in there got wind of him doing this, and they promoted him to very large restaurant owner list. And so now he's got this massive list, not massive, I don't know, probably gotten at this point probably over 500 restaurant owners that have paid him for this course. And he's doing some consulting, he's getting through it, but now he's got these buying units, these restaurant owners that paid for this course. And so as soon as he turns on the agency again, he's going to have those people who love him and it's going to help him grow. And so during desperate times require desperate actions. I do understand going out and having to maybe pick up work outside of your niche during a situation like this. But I would caution everyone to be careful that if you've built some good traction in a niche and understanding, even if at this moment in time it appears to be dead, okay, in 6 months it will not appear to be dead, okay. The temperature is going to start rising, in the northern hemisphere. Anyway, long story short, it's going to start getting warm. We now have our third vaccine coming out, and so do everything you have to do to survive now. Go out and pick up those jack of all trades if you have to, okay? Or better yet, attempt to pivot and serve the same target audience with just a more digital, something that they need now, okay? But don't make long-term planning or business model shifts as a result of an act of God, because as long as it doesn't kill us, it's going to hopefully go away, or better yet, we get a vaccine out there and we can learn to live with this thing. So.